What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the 2012 mixtape by Trinidad James. Basically, this product is called Don't Be Safe, and it came out in the late summer of 2012. Now, the thing about this particular project is the Don't Be Safe. The SAFE stands for. The thing about this particular project is the SAFE is an acronym in the title, and the SAFE stands for Sensitive as Fuck Every Day. So that's the particular pitch about it. Don't be sensitive. Basically, the full title is Don't Be Sensitive as Fuck Every Day, and that's the particular pitch about it. But this is a hit mixtape out of the late summer of 2012. Particular project I did enjoy quite a bit. It had a hit single off of here called All Gold Everything. That's a pretty dope song. The thing about Trinidad James on this particular project is there's a good assortment of songs on here where he just freestyles a long verse more so that makes it in kind of like a song format. There's some songs like Giving No Fucks and All Gold. There's some songs on this project like All Gold Everything and Giving No Fucks where it's just a lengthy kind of verse from Trinidad James as opposed to like a typical kind of song format. And then another song that kind of does that is Females Welcome, where that's really only one verse on the particular song before it switches to the Ray Lee chick, I'd have to say. So this is kind of just like an intro of a project here. I want to say that this was Trinidad James's debut project here. It's just kind of concept. He just kind of came on the scene like the spring summer of 2012 as far as that pitch kind of happened. Mixtape rapper for a while. I don't think he ever put out an album, I'd have to suppose, but I know the next project he dropped after this one in 2013 was called 10-Piece Mile, which is an interesting project. I'm going to have to get to that one. I do want to review that one at some particular point. But this thing about this particular project is Trinidad James was kind of seen as a one-hit wonder. He never really managed to outdo All Gold Everything out of the summer of 2012, but it's still a pretty good project here. It's a short project, only has 8 songs and stuff like that. And like I said, it's just not really in a full-blown kind of song format with like 2 or 3 verses as far as that particular pitch kind of happens. It's just kind of intro type stuff as far as that kind of goes. It's a free project here. Trinidad James was like the next to blow up in like the summer of 2012, fall of 2012. He was kind of one to look out for in 2013, but the album just never manifested. Eventually, this project was released for retail with an extra song, which is basically the All Gold Everything remix. I'm just going to review the mixtape version. That's a pretty dope version, I'd have to say. So it's a dope enough concept. Get this one in particular. Just had some good stuff on here. Kind of thing about it, just to talk about this particular project, there were 2 singles off this project. One was All Gold Everything. The other one was Females Welcome. But basically, the concept about this is just the fact that Trinidad James does not really have like a full-blown kind of nightclub kind of song as far as that pitch kind of happens. I feel like All Gold Everything is like the closest thing that's more in like a house party type format. Females Welcome is kind of like a barbecue summer haze type tune, I'd have to say. But for the most part, if you're looking for like a nightclub smash, something like Yo Gotti's Single or something like that, one of those type pitches, like the typical kind of trap rappers that were around this time, it doesn't really have that as full blown. This is just kind of like an initial type project that was supposed to be one to watch for as Trinidad. That's supposed to be one to watch for as Trinidad James started to evolve and things like that, just within that relative pitch. But it just didn't manifest as far as that particular kind of went. But this was a pretty initial good single, had some good stuff. All Gold Everything. I really do wish that this would have been like a typical kind of song format, because it's a pretty dope song. Has pretty nice beat on there, good effectual and emphatic type song, I'd have to suppose, just in that particular sense. We'll go ahead and talk about the singles on here. Basically, there's 8 songs in this particular mixtape. Like I said, it's a pretty snappy project that it has suppose. So I'll go ahead and recommend the 5 songs out of 8 I recommend on here, and then we'll talk about the singles. So as far as that pitch can happen, the basic 5 songs out of 8 I recommend would be Females Welcomed. The basic 5 songs out of 8 I recommend on this particular project would be Females Welcomed, One More Molly, All Gold Everything, Giving No Fucks, and South Side. So that's pretty good concept to get those in particular. But to talk about these singles on here, basically the first single was All Gold Everything. This is Trinidad James's biggest song just within that format. Pretty large trap summer smash, I'd have to say in particular. So we'll go ahead and talk about these singles. Then I'll get Females Welcome. Then we'll talk about the rest of the project. So basically, All Gold Everything was kind of a rompish kind of house cart. Basically, All Gold Everything was like a rompish kind of house party boiler. I'd have to say pretty good concept just to get that one just within the pitch of how that particularly turned out. I'd have to say it's a good early 2010s trap kind of mixtape fun, I would have to say. And this is a pretty good bop on here. Definitely like the kind of pitch of this particular one. It's just a real kind of noise, just a real kind of eccentric noise type hopper as far as that pitch kind of happens with it. It's a real nice one. It's typical of like trap type fare. It's kind of typical of normal trap type fare as far as what trap was up to in like 2012 as far as that pitch can happen between folks like Meek Mill and Kendrick and some of those type folks and other folks like that, like 2 Chainz, some of those type folks just within those pitches, and Yo Gotti. But pretty nice one here. In terms of like the up and comers, like the thing about the mixtape scene is it was starting to die down a little bit. I mean, obviously there were mixtapes like Rich Forever and Dream Chasers too that were a big deal in 2012, but by the time you got to like the fall of 2012, that was starting to kind of dwindle down a bit. It just wasn't quite as boisterous as it was in late 2011 and 2010, especially some of those type pitches. So this is just, he was kind of a highlighted type one. This particular project was kind of a big deal between like the late summer and fall of 2012 as far as that pitch kind of happened. He was definitely one of the rookies that was supposed to make like a lot of noise in 2013 as far as that pitch kind of happened with it. It was kind of the concept about it. But this is a pretty nice boppish type one. Really do like the beat on this particular song. It's a real effectual type one. Some good, definitely some good house party type craze as far as that pitch kind of happens. Just a good kind of trap rumbler. I just would have to say just within that concept. I kind of look after this particular song really needed like a typical kind of song format. I'd have to say because the chorus is pretty good on here. I'd have to say it's pretty catchy just within that pitch. It just needed like 2 or 3 verses just within that pitch. Just a real lengthy verse on here as far as that pitch kind of goes. But it is a nice song. It's an easy highlight and it's good to see that it's a good highlight and it's easy to see that this song charted because it's a pretty nice one. But the second single is Females Welcome. This one didn't quite chart as well. I don't even know if it charted at all. It's just kind of the concept. It was at least the promoted second single, something that at least had the initiative of trying to do it. I'd have to say. I want to say that there was at least a music video for it, something like that. Just kind of typical. Females Welcome is kind of a fusion of some EDM type sound that was prevalent throughout 2012 as far as that pitch can happen. Near the end of the song, it kind of does that. But the first part of the song is definitely like some. The first half of this song is like some summer haze jive. I would have to say in particular, some good barbecue like smoke a few type. This is some good barbecue like music. I'd have to say smoke a few type gem. I would definitely feel like, and this is just some lunchtime kind of fun. I would definitely feel like there's something for like cookouts, just having hot dogs, burgers, some of those type pitches. Just really enjoying like the summer haze, some lemonade, some stuff like that. Just those typical kind of pitches, just those regular and typical kind of pitches, just for like swishers and things like that, just in the summer haze. And then, like I said, it morphs into like an EDM type song near the end, and that Ray Lee chick kind of takes over as far as that pitch can happen with this. Some good stuff there. I do like the concept of the fusion of this. It's just too bad that this song didn't chart. Once again, it's just a kind of snappy type song. It's interesting. It's an interesting hit for Trinidad James. I like the concept of seeing this one in particular. Did some good jobs just within the format of it. But I just think really what Trinidad James needed at this particular stage was just something that was just a very statement making kind of song, like All Gold Everything. It's kind of the concept. I mean, that happens with so many mixtape rappers. So many of these folks, like Kurt Cobain's kind of had this problem in late 2011, early 2012. He kind of had a hit single that gave him his first charting, first and one of the few charting hits back in those days, but he just wasn't able to top it. And that's kind of what happened with Trinidad James. There's some other folks that kind of happened with. There's some other folks that kind of happened with in the early 2010s as far as that pitch can happen. Just some good stuff here, but Females Welcome is a pretty good song, so I definitely would recommend it. It's not one that's not affable or something like that. It just doesn't have that casual type of feel. I mean, it's a good song. I think it is casual within the sense of it's a good fusion of like a song that was just typical of like the sounds of that particular time. Just did a lot of good affability just within that, but it's just kind of the concept. It just doesn't have the quotability of All Gold Everything. I think that's what they needed at that particular time, but it works for what it is. This kind of the concept. I just think it's probably going to get ignored for the most part. People probably would just head right for All Gold Everything and then just forget about the rest. But it's a 1-2 punch. Both these singles are pretty damn good. They do good for Trinidad James. It's kind of the fact that I think most folks, especially at this point, would probably just kind of goes over their head and stuff like that, I'd have to say. But so talk about the other 3 songs on this particular project, I'd have to say basically Southside is a pretty nice one. This is like a blue blood kind of trap tune. I'd have to say this song feels haunting in like a late day kind of sense. I would have to say it's very Dracula like, I'd have to say, but it's a pretty social song. So I like this particular one. This is a good pairing with All Gold Everything. I'd have to suppose pretty good concept for that. Even despite the fact that All Gold Everything and Females Welcome are kind of like more summer and kind of barbecue cookout and house party type tunes, I'd have to say Southside is at least kind of a trap type tune just for like the fall and things like that. I'd have to suppose there's some good concepts for, I mean, this can kind of be a house party song, but this can also be like a nightclub song. One of the few nightclub songs on here, I'd have to say in particular. It's a good concept to get that one. It's a good concept to get that one in particular, but it's just interesting that there weren't a ton of songs like this on here. It's just the concept that there definitely need to be more moments like this just within that relative pitch, just some good stepping out type tunes or just some good overall social type gems just within that aspect. I feel like All Gold Everything is like the day type tune for that sort of pitch, and Southside's more of like the evening/night type tune, but there's really not a full-blown kind of nightclub stepping out and going out to dance clubs, things like that, getting some drinks in your system type tunes. It's just kind of the concept. This would have to say about that. But Given No Fucks is a highlighted one also. This is a pretty nice one. This is like a bleary kind of evening malaise of a song, I'd have to say. It's like some groggy Traverse Pharaoh. Definitely feel like this is just a typical day kind of get some food type tune. You know, hit up Popeyes, hit up Burger King, hit up Blimpie's, some of those type places just within the pitch of that in particular. I'd have to suppose to some good concepts to get one of those. Very much some day after hours, just kind of malaise of just being near a car and things like that. Just vehicle traverse type fare and after hours malaise have just got done with work, some of those type pitches. It's interesting that Trinidad James had a song like this just in particular, because this one is just such a bleary type one and just kind of works for that relative sense. This one is just kind of a fair weather type tune, not really hype, not really extravagant, not really excited just within that relative pitch, but it's just a good concept to get this one just because it's composed and steadfast, has a good topic and theme. This one doesn't have like a typical kind of song format. This once again, it's like All Gold Everything. This has a lengthy kind of verse as far as that pitch kind of has, but it is a pretty good song. I like the concept, just ruminating just within a after, just some evening kind of ruminating just within a vehicle prone sense that has to say. So pretty dope concept for that one. Then One More Molly's pretty nice song. Obviously this song should be towards ecstasy, Molly, Thiz, as far as that particular pitch can happen. So this is just a dredge kind of Thiz pop-in type haze that I have to suppose in particular. It's just a good sluggish. This song is just a good sluggish in a daze type tune, I would definitely feel like, and this is just some nice trippy fun that this song particularly kind of has. So this is definitely one that reminds me of like Tyler the Creator. There are some moments on this particular project that kind of remind me of Odd Future and Tyler the Creator. I want to say that Trinidad James might be born like 91, 92, 93, around the same time that Tyler the Creator was, something of that relative pitch, that he was kind of in between where he wasn't, maybe he wasn't 21, so he wasn't at the nightclub getting drunk as far as that pitch can happen just yet, but I'd suppose just in particular, it kind of has a blend between stuff like Yo Gotti and stuff like Odd Future and some of those type pitches as far as that particular kind of goes. This is just an example, kind of one that's just a little bit more, kind of feels like garage band made just within that relative sense. It's a Drury type one, something I would have expected from Odd Future, something like that, but it is a pretty nice bop for Pop and This and things like that. Just in particular, pretty nice one, just a real Drury kind of dredge type one. There's not really a smoking song on here. There's not really like a full-blown kind of get crunk type song on here, but there is at least a Molly type tune, I'd have to say. I'd have to suppose that's kind of the concept about it. But to talk about some of these songs that I didn't recommend on here, basically I just didn't like the production overall arrangement of Madden on GameCube. That one just didn't work that well. It's kind of the same thing for Tongue for the Money. That one just had a real poor production. Tongue for the Money just had a real awkward and kind of disengaging type production on there that just didn't add up to much in particular. I'd have to say just didn't really appreciate that one that much. Team Vacation was a decent production on there. This is definitely one. It talks about going to Vegas on this particular song. Definitely a pretty good song for just getting crunk, going out on vacation, smoking, getting some women, some pitches like that. But it's just kind of the concept. I don't know. The arrangements of that particular song was just not quite as affable. It felt like a good time, especially for like some mixtape type fares. Another one that's kind of similar to Odd Future, just within that relative pitch, but it just didn't really pull off the vibe quite as well. Felt like a very Drury type vacation. I suppose good concept for that, but it was just kind of one that I just don't know how many times I would listen to it in like a standard fare. It's just kind of here and there with it. Kind of, I'd probably give it like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10 in terms of the execution. Normally, I would recommend a song like that, but it just didn't quite have the full blown affability about it. Maybe that could be an almost song, but so that's kind of the thing about it. But me recommending 5 out of 8 songs on this particular mixtape, I'm going to go ahead and give this mixtape like a 7.25 out of 10. Now, I know I gave Yo Gotti like a 7 out of 10 for only having 5 out of 8 songs that I recommended also. But the thing about this particular project is just the fact that Trinidad James is on all the songs on here, which is a pretty dope concept just to get that. Yo Gotti wasn't on every single song off of his late 2011 mixtape that I reviewed January 10th. So it's just kind of the concept. Trinidad James is on all these songs. I realize that not all of these have like I realize that this project lacks like a nightclub smash. Maybe Yo Gotti was a little bit enjoyable in terms of stepping out and more socialization, but this one just has like a barbecue type feel. This project is just kind of a Drury and druggy kind of summer vacation. I'd have to suppose in particular to some of that particular after effect of a pitch of this cookouts and playing PlayStation like the summer times and pitches like that. Just Drury kind of molly popping and just beer sipping, things like that. That relative pitch kind of in between type sessions of just getting snackage late at night and just kind of cruising around getting Popeyes at 10 o'clock at night. Some of those type pitches as far as that pitch kind of happens with it. It's just kind of the concept. Not really sure if Trinidad James is able to drink. It's just kind of the concept. I don't know if he was going to nightclubs as far as that pitch kind of happens, but there is some good stuff on here. It's pretty standard mixtape type fare. Just works in a good sense. It's a thrilling type ride for the most part. I had to say, just really needed like some social gems and a little bit better song format for like songs like All Gold Everything and Females Welcome. It's just kind of concept. I like the concept of these songs, but they're just kind of snappy and to the point. It's just kind of, I do feel like All Gold Everything should have been like a typical kind of song format, but it's just kind of the thing. I mean, you look after, I do think he probably needed another hit like All Gold Everything to also say that. I think he probably could have used like a clone of that particular song. Definitely something for like a dance club at least. I know that folks that are underneath 21 could at least go to like a dance club, something in that relative pitch. There probably could have been like a dance club type song, something of those relative pitches, just something to shake your ass to in the club. Definite song for the ladies, some of those type pitches, some of those type ones. A good posse song that could have been a little bit more crunchy and just step out, just some overall more social kind of engagement. I just feel like it's this more Drury kind of summer type fare just within that pitch, but that's just kind of the concept about it. So I give this project 7.25 score. The social score I'm going to go ahead and give. I'm going to give the social score of this project like a 6.5 out of 10. There is some gems on here. The singles are both pretty boisterous just within that impact, but I just feel like it's kind of short on like supply of just overall hits. Like I said, this is just kind of like a steamy kind of summer vacation just within the concept, just getting some cookout type music and things like that, but it just doesn't really have like the full blown life of the party type tunes and things like that. Just the wildest kind of crazy, just take your shirt off and really get crunk type vibes as far as that pitch kind of happens. It just is kind of addled a little bit, has a little bit of that dreariness, just the effectualness behind it. But it's not quite as full blown crazy as it needs to be. Doesn't quite get as nerfed and overall crazy as it probably needs to, just with the impact of just something carnivorous. I'd say it's just kind of here and there. It's an in between type one that's good, just with an aspect of having some bops on here in like a certain sense. But you may notice that all gold everything is probably the best moment on here for the most part. Females Welcome is probably the second best moment on here. It has a little bit of turn up just within that relative sense. Does a good job of at least trying to establish like some further hits for Trinidad, but it's just kind of the concept that these songs just are not quite as full blown gnarled and quite as crazy as they probably full blown need to be. It's this kind of thing. It's just kind of it's good but not super. This project is good but not super stellar as far as that pitch can happen. It's just kind of the concept about it. But I look after it in terms of the future, like that's kind of different. In terms of the future, that's difficult just because Trinidad James has dropped a series of mixtapes. I know he probably has at least 5 or 6 or 7 or maybe a little bit more than that, just within that relative pitch. But for the most part, this is his biggest project. Just with the hit single All Gold Everything. This is basically the project in the song that kind of made him like a one-hit wonder. But I had to say, I am at least going to review 10-piece Mild. I am interested in that one just to see how that one particularly kind of fared. I do wonder what other hits he got around that particular time in 2013, his follow-up year, as far as that pitch can happen with it. But we'll have to see. I'm definitely going to get to some more of these that have, but it's a pretty good project here. It has some, like I said, some jury kind of summer haze, just some weekend type fare, just more of like Thursday type music more so than anything else. Just Wednesday night, just got done with work, Thursday afternoon, getting ready to have a good weekend just within the pitch, but not quite there yet. Just some Thursday evening type pitches to just smoke in, playing some PlayStation, things like that. Just some jury kind of cookout, summer type fare, just within that relative pitch, it has to say. So it's a good mixtape type fare, good mixtape here to pick up, but just understand that just the gnarled craziness doesn't get to that shrill, but just realize it just doesn't get to that shrill extent, I'd have to say.